Hello. I am continuing my series on ranking every episode of The Office. This time I'm ranking numbers 165 to 156. If you would like any previous episodes of this, go check my YouTube channel or the podcast page. All right, let's get into it. Number 165. Season 8, episode 14, Special Project. Andy puts Dwight in charge of a special project in Tallahassee, but Dwight doesn't like the team Andy's assembled for him. Meanwhile, Daryl tries to figure out the meaning of Val's Valentine gift. So this was the beginning of the arc where they went to Tallahassee to make the store for the Saber triangle thing, whatever the heck that was. In the cold open, Pam returned to the office weeks after having a baby. She was basically normal. That's what you do. That's what happens when you have a baby. You take weeks off and you come back. Hopefully you take months off. But Angela returns 4 days later. She looks amazing. She makes everybody cookies. She basically just rubs it in Pam's face that she's better than her. Basically, that was what that was all about. So Val gives Daryl a beanie as a Valentine's gift, and Daryl thinks, "Oh, she really likes me." So he wasn't sure whether it was a romantic gift or not, but so he gets her a romantic gift just to see what happens. Then he realizes that she made that beanie for everybody because she likes knitting. So he instead of giving the romantic gift to Val, he gives it to Nate. That was a cute scene. The whole episode seemed to be around just the start of this thing, and Dwight wanted certain people and Andy wanted certain people. Basically, he wanted the most useless people to go to Tallahassee, and they're going back and forth. Jim gets a text from Robert California saying, "Hey, see you in Tallahassee. Let's play golf." And Jim doesn't know how to respond to that, so he spends all morning with Pam trying to formulate a response, and eventually, like, they don't understand what's going on. Jim figures out that he is going to Tallahassee, and Andy doesn't want him to, but Jim has to. I love the line Jim says to Dwight, "Hey, quick question: do you shower at night or in the morning? Because I want to shower when you're showering. Save some water." Love that. So that's basically all that was about. Dwight assembled a team. Dwight wasn't happy with the team. He thought it was a bunch of losers. It was Ryan, Aaron, Kathy, and Jim, and Stanley. And at the end of the episode, they're having a meeting, and everybody actually had some really good ideas about this store and what's going on. So it's like, oh, maybe this could work. Kathy, the whole thing about Kathy being working when Pam was away, she seemed harmless, but and everything was like, oh, is she hot? Are you into her? And really, at the end, she tells somebody, "Oh yeah, I have nothing to do down there, so I'm going to seduce Jim." So she's a Jezebel. Number 164, season 9, episode 10, Lice. Pam brings Lice to work, and Meredith gets the blame. The only lice-free employees, Phyllis, Kevin, and Ellen, work in the warehouse, and they try to reunite Daryl and Val, who recently broke up, and Jim has a meeting with Dr. J. Okay, so this is continuing the whole Jim and Philly thing, and the whole episode was just him getting to play basketball with Dr. J. Okay, cool. He's having a wonderful time. He's having the time of his life. Meanwhile, Pam is going through hell trying to work, take care of 2 little kids, and one of the kids brings lice, and everybody in the office gets it, obviously, except for 3 people. And she didn't blame Meredith. Everybody just automatically assumed it was Meredith, kind of understandably so, and she just went with it. But then everybody found out that it was actually Pam that brought it. They were all mad at her. Meredith was really mad at first, but then she forgave her, and they went to a bar and did karaoke, and that was cute. Daryl dumped Val. I believe this is he already got the job in Philly, so I guess he dumped her, but he made it look like they it was her decision or something like that. Okay, whatever. The cold open was really dumb. Jim bit his lip and he couldn't talk very well. Okay, whatever. I love I love the line from Meredith. She said, "Who's the one that didn't bring a license to the office?" Meredith. Sure, I gave everybody pink eye once, and my ex keyed a few of their cars. And yeah, I BM'd in the shredder in New Year's, but I didn't bring the license. That was all Pam. That's perfect, Meredith. So, not a lot going on here. Just continuing the Philly storyline and just showing that Jim is having the time of his life, and Pam is going through hell. Number 163, episode 9, season 6 of The Boat. Andy has one last chance to captain the family boat before he sells it. Jim, Pam, and Nellie prank Dwight with a radio interview, and Kevin finds out about Oscar's affair with Angela's husband. The whole Andy boat thing, I've stated this many times. I hate Andy. I hate the character. I didn't care that his rich family is the father ran away with all the money or whatever. I don't care. I hate Andy. I hate every story he was in. That's why any episode involving Andy is going to get a low rating on here. So I didn't care about that. The Jim, Pam, and Nellie thing was really cute, and I hate Nellie, but she was awesome in this. There was some radio spot that was going to wanted to highlight some business person, and Dwight insisted that it be him, but it got canceled at the last minute. But he didn't know that, so they pretended to be the radio show. And first they made him take off all of his clothes because the buttons were interfering with the audio. And then they accused him of the paper being toxic or something like that. And Jim, Pam, and Nellie had all these characters and stuff like that. It was actually very funny. And then there was some kind of hostage situation with David Wallace. And Dwight actually called David Wallace, and David Wallace is like, dude, don't call me. So very funny. I mean, David Wallace has to be used to craziness after dealing with Michael Scott. So that was all cute. The whole thing about Kevin finding out about Oscar's affair, that was very funny. Just Kevin trying to not blab, and Oscar just being scared to death of him saying something to Angela was so funny. At one point, she said something like, "Oh, he was so tired. He said all he wanted was a little Mexican." Kevin could not take it. So that was funny. So Andy's going to lose the family boat that he never got to drive, whatever. Aaron says, "Well, let's go to the boat and let's spend the day on the boat or whatever." And Andy decides to take the boat and go to the Caribbean or something like that. And he just leaves her behind. He is like season 9. Andy is just so terrible. And he's so terrible to Aaron. I'm not a fan of Aaron either, but this really sucked. The worst thing about this is Ed Helms had to take several episodes off to film The Hangover Part 3, which was possibly the worst sequel of all time. It might be the worst sequel, and right behind it is The Hangover Part 2. I love the first Hangover. The two sequels were just completely unnecessary and stupid. Number 162, season 8, episode 7, Pam's replacement. A pregnant and insecure Pam tries to prove that Jim is attracted to her temp replacement, and Robert and his musician friends take over a jam session with Andy, Kevin, and Daryl. I mean, this was just silly. It was basically a really good way for Pam and Dwight to work together, and they are so great together. But the whole thing was them trying to trap Jim into admitting she's attracted, like, whatever. I mean, what do you want? What do you want? She's pregnant and Jim is trying to spare her feelings, and you have a problem with that. But Pam did appreciate that that Dwight was honest. That was cute. The cold open was one of the greatest cold opens of the entire series. It was the one where Andy tells Aaron, Andy has a meeting with a customer, and he tells Aaron to walk into the meeting and tell him there's a call. This is something that Michael Scott did a few seasons ago, and that was when Ryan was in charge, um, and Andy is supposed to say he won't take it, and that's it, to show that this meeting is so important that I'm not going to interrupt it for anything. So Aaron does this. She says he has a call. He's like, oh no, I can't take it right now. He's like, your mother died. He's like, nah, I'm pretty sure she didn't die. He's like, oh no, she's dead. He's like, well, she pulls this prank sometimes where she says she's dead. She's like, this isn't a prank. It really happened. Like Dwight comes in and says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So he has to take this call, and it's actually Daryl telling him, man, this is so messed up. And and as Andy is taking this fake phone call, he says, does she have any last words? And the last words were, make sure the client gets the best deal possible. Like, I guess I've said many times, I hate Andy, I hate the character, but this was amazing. This is so well done. The whole thing with Pam and Dwight trying to see if Jim is attracted to her. Jim is talking to Kathy, and Dwight comes over and pretends to trip and grabs at his crotch many times. It's obvious he's grabbing at his crotch to see if he has an erection. That was very funny. The whole thing with Andy, Kevin, and Daryl, they had a little band that they would play, and then Robert came and said, oh, let me play with you, and then he basically just took it over, and whatever. There was when his friends came in, Andy said, did you know Lisa toured with Shaka Khan? And Kevin says, are you serious? From Star Trek? Love that. I love that. So the end of the Pam, Dwight, and Jim thing was they go to test his blood pressure, and his blood pressure is very high, and Pam's saying he needs to get that checked out. So okay. And then Jim says, yeah, I'll tell her the truth that I had feelings for a coworker today, but in my defense, he was grabbing at my crotch fairly aggressively at the time. Dwight, I love clueless Dwight. He said Jim lied at every question, and even his name. What's your real name, Jim? Number 161, season 8, episode 24, Free Family Portrait Studio. So this is Andy formulated a master plan to get his job back with the help of David Wallace. He pretends to be in desperate need for a job to be on Dunder Mifflin when the takeover happens. And Dwight sets up a free family picture photo booth at the office. And Angela believes he's trying to prove he is the baby's father. And Daryl makes another move on Val, while hiring back some of his old crew. So yeah, this is the season 8 finale. This is the end of Saber. It's the end of James Spader being Robert California, which was actually his name. Not his name. We find that out. So David Wallace bought Dunder Mifflin because he made so much money with his vacuum toy Suck It. I love that. And Andy, every time Andy tries to have some thing happen, it does not go. It's a failure. He tries to be some lowly janitor or something like that, mopping the carpets or something like that, and he looks so bad. And he just wants to do that so that David Wallace will show up, and he's there to become the new manager and kick out Nellie. None of it goes well. But in the end, David Wallace does buy back Dunder Mifflin. The whole family picture thing, Jim was very scared that Dwight would pull some kind of prank on Jim, because Jim pulled a prank involving Velcro suit or something like that. Okay. And the whole thing with Daryl, Daryl tried to get with Val, and at the end, when Daryl's taking the picture with his daughter, he brings in Val and they're holding hands. Like, okay, that's your I don't know, whatever. The whole thing with the warehouse crew, they all quit, and they all like were like very obnoxious about it when they quit, and now they want their job back because they lost their money. I think they only made 100 grand from the lottery. Like, sorry, you can't live very far on 100 grand. It's not. It's a nice it's a nice chunk of money. You could do some things, but you can't like quit your job forever over 100 grand. Some of the warehouse crew made a drink for Asian homosexuals that had coconut penis in it or something. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently Robert California loved this drink, so I don't know. The cold open was Oscar trying to make a It Gets Better video. This was a thing that was going around at the time where you make videos telling, homosexual kids or whoever it gets better. So he's given this video where it gets better, and Kevin gets involved, Robert California gets involved, Pam gets involved, Phyllis, probably Dwight. I don't know. It just turns into a disaster. At one point, Robert California just pushes him aside. It's like, I am not letting the youth of America get advice from him. I'm going to tell you how it is, and he gives all kinds of advice. Then he goes back and he hits Kevin or something like that. They hit each other in the head, and Kevin's crying, and Robert California goes away, and it's just a whole disaster. And it was perfect. It was really well done. So, yeah, that's it. This was a season 8 finale. Dwight. So the whole reason Dwight did this was to get some DNA of the baby to prove it's his baby. I forget why. The results were that it was not his baby, but it actually is his baby. So I don't know how that whole happened, but Angela suspects this, and she was right. So Dwight grabs the diaper and he runs to get it tested, and Angela chases after him, but he has a decoy car with a decoy Dwight, which is actually Mose, and she catches him and beats him up or something like that. Silly, goofy stuff. And then they're both waiting for the results or something like that. I just don't understand why. I mean, it was his baby, so I don't understand why the results came back. You mean DNA tests are not accurate? What? Number 160, season 9, episode 11, Suit Warehouse. Clark returns from his stint as Jan's sexual assistant, and Dwight enlists his help to make a sale. Dale travels to Philadelphia with Pam to interview at Jim's new company. Pam starts to realize that her family may have to leave Scranton, and everybody in the office goes crazy over a new espresso machine. So yeah, this was a continuation of the Jim in Philadelphia thing. The cold open was Jim, Dwight calling Jim and saying, "Hey, I need you here because we need to pretend to be brothers." Apparently that's a thing they did on sales calls. They would pretend to be brothers and to get sales, but Jim's like, "No, I can't do that. I'm in Philly now." Okay. Whatever. So Dwight says, "Well, okay, I can't use Jim. I'll use a Clark, and we'll say we're father and son." And it was perfect because the suit place had a father and son, and they're talking to the father, and he's saying, "I hate my kid," and so Dwight starts treating Clark horribly because it's like, "Oh, if you hate your kid, I hate my kid too." And then the son comes in, and they realize that actually it's the son running things, and he pushed the dad aside. So then Clark basically took over the sale because the son was in charge. So and he got a suit, which was actually he looked really good in that suit. This was where so Clark came back because he was Jan's sexual assistant. I talked about this in the previous episode. That was disgusting. I get it. It's supposed to be laughs. I get it. It's a show, but basically prostituting someone and saying, "Oh yeah, he'll be your sex toy." Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, that's, to me, that's not funny. But anyway, as he came back from his time with Jan, and he brought back an espresso machine with all the flavors, and the office decided to try it out, and they went absolutely insane on they were over caffeinated. They went absolutely insane. They ripped up the carpets. They were just, it was very funny to see the entire office just go crazy. um I love Stanley's lines like, so this is what 2 p.m. looks like. I usually take a siesta now. But the main story was Dwight and Pam. I'm sorry, Jim goes Daryl and Pam go to Philadelphia, and Daryl interviews for a job there, and he's so nervous. He's bad at interviews. Jim told Pam that this is just a rinky-dink little startup thing and nobody cares, and she goes there and it's just this gorgeous office and stuff like that, and she sees Jim taking charge and stuff and thinks, oh, well, this isn't good. Daryl has his interview. He just says, listen, I'm not, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. And everybody goes around and saying, it's like, what are you talking about? None of us are good enough. We all started out somewhere and now we're here. So you could do this. And then it goes really well. And but then at the end, he says, I think it's going to be a slam dunk or something like that. And he takes the ball, shoots it into the hoop. It misses, hits a light. The light goes into the aquarium, kills all the fish. It just leaves the worst impression ever. And even despite all that, they still offer him the job. So that was that. Number 159, season 9, episode 4, Work Bus. When Jim convinces Dwight that the building is unsafe, Dwight rents a bus and sets up the office inside. Nellie asks for Andy's help in adopting the baby. Meanwhile, Jim tries to make Pam happy with some pie. So this was the start of the Jim and Philly arc. Jim just told Pam about the Philadelphia job, and she's pretty upset about it. So things aren't going well. The cold open was Andy had a stupid softball video that he put fart noises in, but the real thing was he couldn't handle a big thing of water and it landed on top of him. Who cares? I hate you, Andy. So the wiring in the office was unsafe. Jim pulled a little prank with popcorn to show that microwave radiation is coming from the wires, and it's actually popping in front of them, and so they all go on a bus. They all work from a bus, and it's going really not well, and they decide to go get some pie. And so they're all driving to get pie, but Dwight is being really weird, and he just stops and gets on the roof and stuff. And he's really sad that he can't have a kid or something, or it's not his kid. And Jim convinces him to keep trying and cheers him up. So they go to get the pie, and they get the pie. And so Jim and Pam are happy for the moment. There was one scene where Creed walks in the bus. He's like, thanks, I'm playing a little hooky from work today. And he looks around, it's everybody from the office. That's pretty funny. When Jim is talking to Dwight, he says, listen, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't, he thinks the electromagnetic, he thinks the wires are the reason he can't have kids. And he says, you mean you flooded my building with dangerous electromagnetic radiation as a prank? That's the best prank you've ever done. I love clueless Dwight. Apparently in real life, when they filmed this, they almost killed everybody because they had another truck behind them or something like that, and they got the piping mixed up, so they were actually putting exhaust fumes into the bus. So they almost killed everyone. There was a little thing about Kevin being like super smart with math because it involved pie, because he was just making these crazy accurate calculations because they needed to get the pie. Oscar says, Kevin, what's 19,154 pies divided by 61 pies? He's like, well, the answer's 314 pies. 314, 3.14 pi. Get it? Okay. Number 158, season 8, episode 10, Christmas Wishes. Andy throws a Christmas party and promises to make everyone's Christmas wishes come true, but negative emotions stir when Aaron when he brings his girlfriend Jessica. Kathy complains about Jim and Dwight's pranks, so the next one to misbehave, Andy threatens to take away their Christmas bonus or something like that, and that gets things worse. This was, mostly the whole episode was Aaron getting really drunk and just being really jealous of Andy's girlfriend. Okay, we get it. Got it. It was cute at the end where Andy was taking Meredith home, and Robert California was taking Aaron home, and he wanted to make sure that he didn't take advantage of her or anything, and he didn't, and he just wanted to make sure. So that was nice. The whole thing with Dwight and Jim, yeah, that was dumb. Jim messed up his daughter's picture and said Dwight did it, but then when Andy said, "Well, I'm going to fire him," and Jim's like, "No, actually, that was me." Like, okay, whatever. Jim, at one point, Dwight brought a porcupine and said that Jim did it. It was just dumb, just dumb. Number 157, season 8, episode 15, Tallahassee. Dwight and his group journeys to Tallahassee to meet with the president of Sabre Special Projects, Nellie Bertram. The group discovers that Todd Packer is participating in the program in the project. Andy fills in for Aaron and surprisingly enjoys himself. So this is when they all were. This is the group goes to Tallahassee arc, and the cold open was one of the best ever. It is where Dwight got up extra early to make sure that everybody was ready, and he wakes everybody up, and then Aaron and Dwight go to wake up Jim, and Jim plays a prank on Dwight where it looks like Jim framed Dwight for murder. It was so good. That was really good. That was really good. So we meet Nellie Bertram. This is the first episode. This is the first time we meet Nellie Bertram, and I hate her. I hate her so much. She was really annoying in this. Her in Florida was pretty annoying when she got to Scranton. She was super annoying. Season 8, Nellie in Scranton was just unbearable. I can't take it. Yeah, Dwight was amazing in this. He was trying to impress her because the vice president position was up for grabs. It was basically him and Packer trying to compete for it. This might have been where Dwight got appendicitis and got his appendix removed. I don't remember, maybe, but anyway, he comes in and gives a presentation, and the presentation is already there, but he doesn't know about it because he wasn't there. And he's giving the presentation, and Aaron's trying to help him. And Nellie says, "Are there any questions?" And Nellie says, "What are the 3 pillars of retail?" And Aaron is whispering to him, convenience, service, and building loyalty. And Dwight says, ingredients, burgers, and killing royalty. I love that. So, I mean, Dwight was just amazing in this. But yeah, this was the continuation of them in Tallahassee story. In 156, season 8, episode 7, Test 17. Test the store. Dwight and his team get ready for the grand opening of the Sabre store while Andy makes Toby teach self-defense to the Scranton branch after he is beat up in a parking lot by a girl. So this was basically, I guess they were making fun of Apple stores or something like that. They basically made a store for the Sabre device, which is a big triangle, which I loved. Even the phone was a triangle. I love that. And just Aaron pretended to be a hipster to get in with the to make it seem cool. She was camping outside for it. Kathy was flirting with the bloggers because all bloggers are big fat dudes that that are dorks and nerds and stuff. Because ha ha ha. Yeah, and Ryan was supposed to give a presentation, and he just freaked out and left. He couldn't take it, and Jim and Dwight were trying to pump him up, but it didn't work. So he just left. So then Jim had to do the presentation. He actually did a pretty good job. So there was that. He had to wear eyeliner. That was pretty funny. The whole thing with Andy getting punched by a girl. I mean, there's a group of kids was harassing Pam, and he went to defend them, and one of the girls punched him. What are you supposed to do? It's a little girl. You punch back, you're in trouble. Like what? So he got a black eye. He told the office it was a gang or something like that. So everybody was so worried, and then they found out it was a little girl, and then somehow Kelly was harassing Toby, and Andy went to defend him, and he got hit in his other eye, so he got two black eyes. It's like, you know what? He's defending people. He's right. He's defending people. It was funny that Toby was saying IAATG. It's all about the groin. Nice. Jim's punishments for this store was he had to do the twirl sign thing, and he was really bad at it. There was another guy that was doing a really good job of twirling a sign, whatever. But basically, they were just, I guess, making fun of Apple stores or something like that. And that's it. So that is 165 to 156. I'll keep doing these. These are getting a little bit better, but basically, I hate season 8 and 9. So all the season 8 and 9 ones will be in the worst list, and then eventually we'll get to the Michael Scott ones. But yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening and watching. See you later. Bye.